This is Fans on the Run, a podcast made by, for, and about Beatles fans. And now, here's your host, Alexanian.
Alright, welcome back to the show. This is Fans on the Run, the Beatles podcast that makes you listen to the host and think, what the fuck is he on about? But that's besides the point. We got an awesome guest for you today. He is the foremost Beatles tour guide in London. So if you're ever in London, go on one of his tours. And no big deal, he was named the Beatle Brain of Britain twice. We have Richard Porter with us. Richard, thanks for coming on.
Hello, Ethan. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good. Yeah. Difficult times at the moment, but hey, we're getting by.
I don't even know what day it is anymore.
Neither do I. Yeah. Who am I? Who am I?
Which is
Beatle fan.
Kind of sucks when I'm running the podcast because I have to bookmark like the calendar app because I have to keep checking like, fuck, what interview do I have today?
I know the feeling. I mean, I'm so on my, usually on my tours and everything's, in the diary and stuff. But now there's nothing in there. It's like, what do I do? It's just that days are just merged into one, and
they've all blended together like some sort of Kafka-like nightmare.
Yeah, they have definitely. They have. But
apart from that, how are you holding up?
I'm okay. It's great talking to people. That's one thing. It's good that I got friends around the world, and it's great talking to people online and stuff, and face chatting and everything else. So that's a really good thing.
Hopefully, by the end of this, we will be friends as well.
Yes, we are already. I'm sure. Hopefully, at the end of it too.
Yeah.
No, we've just been doing a lot of Rutles speak, haven't we, before we came online, as it were. So
I should just change this to a Rutles podcast.
You should.
It
was the trousers.
I just have a guest on, and we just keep reciting quotes from the Rutles.
I did that on my tours. This is the actual plays where the Beatles actually played. Yeah. I just go into Eric Idle all the time.
Oh, I just remembered my favorite quote. It's they played here, 1965, Shea Stadium, named after the Cuban guerrilla dictator, Shea Stadium.
Shea Stadium, yeah. That scene where they were walking in the stadium was filmed at Loftus Road, the home of Queen's Park Rangers, my favourite football team. One of my other passions. So is there even a connection there?
See, you're proving yourself already. I didn't know what it was. I knew it was an English football stadium.
Yeah, I recognised it. I sit in that stand all the time, but the one in the background. So. And funnily enough, in the row in front of me is Leslie Cavendish, who's the Beatles hairdresser.
Really?
Yeah, he's a big fan as well. Yeah, little connections anyway. Anyway, we're getting.
Damn, who else sits in this?
I digress.
All right.
Anyway, let's get back to the Beatles, shall we?
Yeah. All right. So, Richard.
Yes.
When did you first discover the Beatles?
Oh, well, I was born in 1962. In fact, I was born the week Love Me Do entered the top 30 in the British charts. But somehow the Beatles almost eluded me in the 60s. I don't know how. I lived in the Twickenham area, just down the road from Twickenham Film Studios, where all the films are done, long before I knew anything about them. And I even had all these records produced by George Martin, but not Beatle records. All these kids' records he used to do, like Nelly the Elephant and Right Said Fred and all that. So I had we had all these records, but no Beatle records. And I guess I knew. I mean, I remember Obla-Dee Obla-Da by the Marmalade.
Okay, I love the Marmalade.
Yeah, that was 6 when that came out. And that's the first. I remember on Yellow Submarine, of course, because I was like 3 or 4, and everyone, of course, at nursery school, everyone sang Yellow Submarine. So I remember all that. But I even had an episode in 1971. We're on holiday in Finland, of all places, and I was with my family, and we just come off a ferry from Sweden to Finland. Saw this open top bus that had Wings Over Europe on it. It's Paul McCartney's tour bus.
Oh.
And everyone in the bus was waving at us. We had a British license plate. We were waving back. And one of my parents said to me, "Oh, look, it's Paul McCartney's tour bus." And they never let me forget this. I said, "Who's Paul McCartney?" This is 1971. I had no idea at the time. Of course I do now.
And that was the actual Wings Over Europe tour bus?
It's the Wings, and I know someone that owned the bus, and I've actually been on the bus since. And I met the bus was at the a Beatle convention in Liverpool in the mid-90s, and Denny Lane was there, and I took Denny Lane outside and had a picture taken with the bus, the Wings Over Europe tour bus. So that was cool.
That must have been surreal.
Yeah. So anyway, to answer your question, I suppose it was when I was getting into music when I was about 10 or 11. But I didn't buy my first Beatle record till, I remember it very well actually. We had Capital Radio, it's a local radio station, had a rundown of the top 100 songs requested by the listeners. And over 20 were by the Beatles out of 100. So pretty much all their singles and for a few album tracks are in the top 100. And the next day I bought the Red album, 62 to 66. Everyone my age started with the Red and Blue albums. Mm-hmm. That was the entry point into the Beatles. And I was absolutely hooked after that because by that time I don't think I'd heard songs like In My Life and No Way Man. And I just, wow, that was just it for me, and that was it for life.
I'm sure you got the Blue album.
Oh yeah, that's the next one. The Red and Blue were the first two you bought. Everyone my age, that's where you started. Like nowadays, it's probably Beatles 1 or whatever. Yeah. But in those days, it's the Red and Blue, which I think they came out in about 73. I seem to remember. Yeah. But I bought them in 76. That's right. Then I bought every album within 18 months. This is when I was still at school. Mm-hmm. Just pocket money. All my money was on Beatles stuff.
What was the first one that you remember getting? Apart from the Red and Blue.
Oh, I think the first album was Revolver. I bought. It was the first album I bought. Yeah.
Scientifically proven to be the best Beatles album.
I think so, yes, yeah. But
of course,
yeah.
The scientific study I'm referring to was conducted by me.
Yes,
where all of the participants were also me.
Yeah, I think for me it changes though. I got a real soft spot for Rubber Soul. There's a few fillers which I could have done without. I mean, I was very involved last year in the 50th anniversary of Abbey Road, and that's become a real favourite. It always has been a favourite, but more so in the last year. So one thing I organised was the 50th anniversary of the Abbey Road crossing.
Really?
And I'd done it similar things for the 25th, 30th, and 40th anniversaries, getting people together and crossing to the minute since the Beatles. And it's going bigger and bigger and bigger each time. And this year was just absolutely viral. So I got a Beatle band to pose as the Beatles on the crossing, dressed as the Beatles were.
Really?
And they arrived in a replica of John Lennon's psychedelic Rolls-Royce car.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, I'd done a similar thing actually on the 40th anniversary, but this time it went... Actually, for the 40th, it went viral as well. We have even that one. It was on NBC in the States. I mean, both the 50th and the 40th were on Canadian TV. And it was the front page of the Guardian newspaper here, the guys on the crossing. So it made the front page news. It even had Brexit off the front page for a while, which was good. So I thought, yeah, I hated Brexit. That's another story.
Doing a service for your country.
Don't go there. It's like, give peace a chance keeping the war off the front page of the paper. Well, the Beatles on the Abbey Road crossing anniversary kept Brexit off the front page for a day. So I did my bit.
Silver linings.
I did my bit. That was an amazing day. And there people from all over the world came to Abbey Road, and the amount of love for the Beatles was just like you could cut with a knife. It was just like palpable, and that was an amazing day. Unforgettable.
You brought up Abbey Road, and since you're like a Beatles tour guide, you must go to that goddamn crossing.
Oh yeah, just a bit.
Yeah. I don't remember London drivers being particularly, let's say, hospitable.
No.
My mum was trying to get a picture of me crossing, and all these cabs were just zooming down the street trying to hit me.
Oh, tell me about it. Yes.
What's the worst thing you've seen happen on that crossing?
There have been people hit on the crossing before. Luckily, no one from my tours, but I know it's happened. But yeah, I mean, you do get people just forget about the cars, and some of the drivers can get very irate. I mean, by law they're supposed to stop. I've actually seen people, accelerating. People actually having to run out of the car's way and stuff. So
I had to do that.
Yeah. But I've seen some nice things too, like obviously seen Paul McCartney on the crossing. Oh, it was a lovely time when I was doing my tour once. I always tell the Paul is dead story by the crossing.
Oh, God.
And I was going through all the clues, and saying, oh, it's Paul's barefoot, and the 28 if and all that. So go through all the clues, and I saw Paul's car coming up the road at that moment. And I just stopped in the mid-sentence. So is Paul McCartney coming to prove he's still alive? And I knew he was going to Abbey Road, to the studios. And I just said to my people, look, he's going to the studios. Let's go. We just basically ran to the studio and saw him go in.
So it's basically like you summoned him.
We got a glimpse of Paul McCartney on the tour, so that was pretty cool, proving he was still very much alive.
Yeah.
Of course it was William Campbell or Billy Shears, or whatever you want to call him.
One of the four names that this. I've heard Scottish. He's Scottish or something, but there was something with MI5.
Yeah.
I love that theory because it's just a dumpster fire.
Oh, it's one really funny thing, but I got a good friend, Jenny Crowley, who she worked for the Beatles fan club in the 60s, and she was on the Magical Mystery Tour coach, and she's in the film, and later worked in the Apple shop in Baker Street.
Before Nasty blew it up.
Yeah, before Nasty blew it up. Yeah, Rutles, I love it. Kindred spirits. And she was invited to a special screening of Magical Mystery Tour when the DVD came out, and she asked me as a +1. And Paul McCartney was there, and all these other David Williams, Terry Jones, and Michael Payne were both there. I had a bit of a joke with them about Mr. Creosote and the similarity to the fat lady in Magical Mystery Tour. Oh. And they omitted it. Basically, that was the influence of that. That's Monty Python's sketch. Well, anyway, there's a bit.
The less I think about that scene from Magical Mystery Tour where John's shoveling spaghetti, the better.
Yeah.
I even told Mark Lewison that was the only time where I've ever watched a Beatles film and then immediately had to throw up afterwards.
Yeah, well, there's a bit in Magic. There was one of the Paul is Dead clues, an obscure one, is on the Magical Mystery Tour album. There's a picture of the Beatles and other people in a restaurant on having a meal. There's a picture of Jenny, and one of the clues it's actually supposed to be Paul McCartney in drag. It's Jenny. It's supposed to be Paul McCartney in drag, and there's Jenny and Paul at this event. And I said to them both, "Hey, look, which one's Paul McCartney?" We had a bit of a joke about that.
Oh Jesus!
Which one's Paul? Paul's good about it, actually. Paul was funny about it. Yeah.
So, how many of the Beatles have you actually met?
I met, 4 if you include Pete Best. I met Paul, George and Ringo and Pete Best. Well, actually 5 if you think, no. I mean, 4 actual Beatles, yeah.
Okay, who was the 5th one?
Well, I met, I met some of the Quarry Men.
Okay.
You thought I played with the Quarry Men.
You played with the Quarry Men.
Yes, I know Rod Davis very well, and he often, when the Quarry Men play, they invite people from the audience to go play washboard or tea-chest bass. And I played washboard with them in London. Also, last year at the Beatle Week, I played with them in Penny Lane, which was quite a thrill.
Wow.
It was only Colin and Len that day, and
Okay.
a few others. But still, actually, Rod came to my 50th birthday party, and we had a skiffle session at that. I had a Beatle band. We had a skiffle session. And I was playing washboard with him, and we were playing Rock Island Line and all that. That was brilliant. That was some birthday, that one. Rod's a really nice guy, and I've met him loads of times, and he's really friendly, and it's so nice that he came to my birthday party.
What was the best encounter that you ever had with a Beatle?
Ooh, gosh. One I remember very well is that was in 97. I think was that the day? Yeah, it was the day of that thing with Paul again running to the studio, and there was this lady on the tour called Dahlia Pincus, who was from Israel. And I told the story on the tour about Linda's background. Linda's basically Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
And how when they arrived in America, they changed their name to sound more American. The original family name was Epstein.
Really?
Yep.
They changed it to
anyway,
Eastman.
to Eastman, to sound more American. So the Eastman Kodak thing is total nonsense and nothing to do with it at all, of course.
Billy Kodak.
But anyway, yeah. So Dahlia was a huge Paul fan, and she wanted to meet him. And I finished the tour, and we thought we'd wait until he came out. And this was in May '97. And when he came out, we just asked, "Can we come over?" He said, "Yeah, come over." And we chatted a long time. And Dahlia asked him about Linda's background, and he told us the story how Linda's family had fled from former Soviet Union to get away from the Jewish pogrom, and how they went to America, and all this story about arriving in Ellis Island, changing their name. And Paul said, "I married an Epstein." And he went into also said about how the Beatles were due to go to Israel in 1964 and were banned from going by the Israeli government because they would disrupt corrupt Israeli youth. And Paul said to us, "Yeah, they were right, we would have done." That's probably one of the longest conversations I had. And he told us all these stories about, this is very quite moving now actually, because at the time Linda was very ill.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, I'm going to get a bit emotional now because my wife Esther died from breast cancer 2.5 years later, and I only found out quite recently that Dahlia also died of breast cancer, the lady I was with that day. And I took pictures of her and she took pictures of me, and these people are still around. And that's, I just found out only about a year ago that she had died from breast cancer as well. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm really sorry, man.
Yeah, she's a great jazz singer, and there's a lot of footage of her on YouTube and stuff. And and that's but it's just so nice sharing that with her. And but there's lots of other nice. I mean, I met Paul quite a few times, and I had my picture taken with him outside. We used to go to Air Studios all the time in the early '80s.
That's George Martin's studio, right?
Yeah, and this came about. So I had a good friend, John, who it's the time I was just reaching out to be Beatles fans. This really came about after I went to the 1981 Beatle convention in Liverpool, and arrived, and there was like 1,000 Beatle fans there, and I thought I was like home. I just felt at home. And I remember that day very well because Victor Spinetti unveiled a statue of John Lennon, who of course only died a few months earlier, and everyone spontaneously sang "Give Peace a Chance," which is like, wow. Anyway, after that I just reached out to find Beatle fans. I put an ad in Beatles Monthly, and got a few Beatle pen pals, and my friend John told me how he met Paul McCartney in Oxford Street, business shopping street in London. I didn't know Air Studios was there, and I'd been past the building God knows how many times, not knowing it was there. And he told me he met Paul many times, and I thought, yeah, right. So he said, no, come along, you'll see Paul McCartney. I thought, well, nothing to lose. I hadn't met him before, I was meeting other people. Anyway, he arrived at Air Studios. 10 minutes later, there's Paul McCartney standing in front of me. It's like, it's Paul McCartney! Sort of doing the help! It's like, what do you do when you meet Paul McCartney? Anyway. And, so he was there on and off for about 4 years. And we used to go up quite often after work. I was working in a bank at the time. Used to go up after work, meet my friends, and we saw Paul on God knows how many occasions. I got my picture taken. I remember I went back to get the picture signed by Paul. When he looked at the picture, he said, "Oh, aren't we a lovely couple?" It's typical McCartney humour, that. So yeah. I met him. A lot of times around the mid 80s. That was probably the most times, but the most memorable, I suppose, was that one in the late 90s.
Out of all the Beatles that you met, which one was the biggest, let's say, twat?
Ringo at the time was in his sort of drunk period, and he wasn't very friendly. He just said hello.
That's kind of what I thought you would say.
Yeah, he was just. Yeah, he was working with Paul at the time. This is around the time of Tug of War and Pipes of Peace, Gilmore Guys to Broad Street. So he's working with Paul quite a bit at the time, but he wasn't particularly friendly.
From what I've heard, that hasn't really changed.
Yeah, I know he's not as only that he made a bit of a fool himself. He said about the autographs. Mm-hmm. He was making what he was trying to say, and we didn't actually say it, but what was happening was he was signing autographs for anyone who was sent stuff for him to sign, but people were putting all the autographs on eBay. Mm-hmm. And they were getting loads of money for this, and he just got fed up with it. Mm-hmm. But when he sort of put that thing on his blog, on his website. Peace and love, no autographs.
This is a serious message to everyone watching my
and then saying peace and love, and sounding not peace and love at all. And
I'm warning you with peace and love.
And no, he didn't give the reason, and he should have done, and that made him out to be a real twat, I think. So, it's like, Then, of course, he upset people in Liverpool by going on as the ambassador of the Liverpool Capital of Culture. Mm-hmm. And he went on the Jonathan Ross big chat show here, and Jonathan Ross, of course, Ringo lives in LA, and Jonathan Ross asked anything you miss about Liverpool, and what he should have said, well, I don't miss my tough growing up. He just said, are you kidding? And because everyone in Liverpool got the hump about that, not surprisingly, Liverpool people are very protective about their city, and not surprisingly. And for a time, Ringo was less popular than Yoko in Liverpool. Well, probably still is now. Actually, Yoko actually does a lot for Liverpool, to be serious. She does an awful lot. Obviously, buying Mendips for a start. And there's put lots of money into charity there too. So she is quite well regarded in Liverpool.
And wasn't
Ringo.
Wasn't there an incident with a hedge kind of...
Yes, topiary, yes. Someone cut off the head of Ringo. Yeah, they did. I know. That was quite funny, I must admit. I did have a laugh at that. Off with his head. Yeah.
I'm going to break the fourth wall a little. I always have like a little set of notes.
Right.
And I don't know what was going through my head when I was writing these notes.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just wrote down Dave D, Dozy, Beaky, Mick, and Titch. I don't know. I don't know why. So I guess I'm gonna ask you. You're the Beatle brain of Britain.
Yeah.
Is there also a Dave D, Dozy, Beaky, Mick, and Titch brain of Britain?
Not that I know of. Put it that way. And I must admit, but the only thing I do know, they definitely went to Hamburg, and they were, I think, the residents at the Star Club as well, if I remember. But like 2 or 3 years after the Beatles.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone went to Hamburg after the Beatles, basically. I mean, which kind of, killed the scene there in a way.
Yeah. It's like,
yeah.
Wouldn't him have another English band?
Yeah,
Wow. So
yeah.
unique.
Yes. But they're kind of bubblegum, really.
Again, I don't know why I have that written down.
No. No, actually, I saw them live. They did a kind of 60s revival thing many years ago. I must admit, they're not really up there for me. I mean, I got a lot of other groups that I put long before them in my list.
Like, I think it's a shame that that group is still kind of going, but the Small Faces haven't performed together in 50 years. Well, because 3 of them are dead.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was a revival. Of course, Jimmy McCulloch joined them.
Mm-hmm.
There was a revival just after Jimmy McCulloch left Wings. There was a revival with Jimmy McCulloch in the Small Faces.
That is
which
true.
I thought was interesting. Yeah.
Although
nice
the bass
there.
player they had at the time, they weren't really small anymore. Because
No.
the guy looked like he was like 6'2".
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's the reason they changed the name when Steve Marriott left and Ronnie Woods and Rod Stewart joined. They weren't small anymore, so they just dropped the small and became the Faces.
In my opinion, that was when the group was neutered.
Yeah, I mean, Steve and Ronnie were brilliant songwriters.
I
Lane,
think I'd probably say I'm the biggest Small Faces fan in Canada.
All right, good. They're a great band. Yeah, they were really good.
Anyways, let's stop talking about these other
Yes.
non-Beatles groups.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a fan of all these people, so yeah, it's great. I mean, they're all interconnected in some way as well.
They are. Is it true? Well, I think you'd be the best person to ask because you're the Beatle brain of Britain. I heard something that the Small Faces were actually in the studio for the One World broadcast of All You Need Is Love.
Yeah. No. Trying to think. Any of them there.
'Cause I know Jagger was there.
Yeah. I mean, there's Keith Moon was definitely there. I mean, but yeah, both Mick Jagger and Keith Richards were there. Keith Moon was there. In fact, Keith Moon plays drums. He's playing a drum next to Ringo. You can say Keith Moon drummed on a Beatle record. Well, actually, whether it's the recorded version or not, but he's certainly playing drums on the broadcast. A drummer on the broadcast. But the Small Faces, I'm not sure about that.
Said something about that on the Wikipedia, but I was looking at the video and I couldn't see any of them.
I don't think so.
You heard it here first.
I wonder if Ronnie Wood might have been there.
He could have.
But of course he wasn't a Small Face at the time. But no.
What band was he even in at that point?
He was in a band called The Birds, spelt with an I.
Mm-hmm. Because he was in The Birds.
Yeah.
He was in The Creation for a little while.
Yes, he was. In fact, it might have been actually it might have been the time of The Creation. Actually, I think that was 67. That would have probably around the time of The Creation. Mm-hmm. And he was hanging out with Jimi Hendrix and all those people at the time.
Yeah. It's
In
every
fact,
time I discover a new 60s garage group, I look at the members and it's like, oh, Ronnie Wood was in the band.
Yeah, exactly. He was around a lot.
He was in everything.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the Beatles. Anyway.
Yes, of course.
What do the Beatles mean to you?
Oh gosh. Well, let's just say it's my career for a start. So when I've been doing being a Beatles tour guide for over 30 years, and before that ran the London Beatles fan club, which I started in 1988. So wouldn't have done that. My first wife Esther, who came on my tour. This is a story. I just started the fan club, and she came on my tour on New Year's Eve 1989 to be precise, and we literally just started doing the tour, getting new members. We just running it as a sort of a collection of friends before that, and we just thought we'd do a regular fanzine, and I gave out letters about the club, and she joined the club pretty much straight away, and she went back to America. She's American, and we started writing to each other, ringing each other, and one thing led to another, and we got married. And I met unfortunately she died from breast cancer. And then I met my current wife, Irina, who's from Russia. After marrying an American, I married a Russian. And we met because she was running the Moscow Beatles fan club, and I was running the London Beatles fan club.
Really?
And we started talking, and we were friends for a long time, and then we got married later on. So both my wives I've met through the Beatles, basically. In different countries I never met otherwise. Yeah. So that's quite an influence right there.
I mean, I don't think I could think of a better influence on your life.
No. So, of course, my daughter wouldn't have been born if it wasn't for the Beatles. So,
is your daughter a Beatles fan?
Yes, she is, but she's kind of slightly rebelling at the moment. Yeah. But she is a big Beatles fan. Yeah. She's trying to be she says she's a One Direction fan at the moment. Say no, the Beatles are better.
They're not even a group anymore.
I know.
Well, in all fairness, neither.
We're kind of having a jokey sort of joust about that at the moment, but it's fine. She's a Beatles fan.
Yeah.
She knows she can be my successor as the Beatle brain of Britain. I mean, she knows everything. She remembers everything. And unlike me, she's very musical. She plays like 10 instruments, and she's got perfect pitch, and she's the musical one in terms of playing music. So, yeah.
What's your favorite memory of doing the tours or just being a fan of the Beatles?
Gosh, there's so many. One was that first Beatle convention. That was a big one. In Liverpool in '81. That was a very big one, obviously. It's just so many. It's very hard to pick one. I mean, just this last year, organising the 50th anniversary of the Crossing, and we had a concert afterwards at a place called the Dublin Castle in Camden. It's not really a Beatle place, but so where Madness gave their first gig, and Coldplay played there, and loads of others, and we had a great concert there. And Kevin Harrington came along, who was basically the Beatles roadie. People forget about him, but after Neil became head of Apple, that Kevin became the Beatles roadie and set up all the Beatles equipment on the roof at Savile Row, for instance. Oh, that was another thing. It's another time I knew I had a great job talking about memories. That in 1995, it's around the time just before the Beatles anthology, people from all over the world were doing stuff on TV about the anthology. Mm-hmm. And I had a call from a TV station in Germany, big TV show. And this is like the question from heaven for a Beatles fan. Well, there's only one answer, and I thought this is a good job. The question was, now they were doing research, and they were filming inside Studio 2 at Abbey Road, and on the rooftop at 3 Savile Row. And the question was, would you like to come with us as our consultant? And by the way, we'll pay you. And I thought, hold on, you'll pay me to do that? It's like the holy grail places for Beatles fans. I mean, I've been in Studio 2, but I've never been on the roof before. I've been on the roof before, but they're saying this is 2 Beatle places that every fan wants to go to. And they were asking me to go as their consultant. They were going to pay me to do so. I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it. Let me think, yes. So I thought, this is a good job.
Thought about that for approximately 3 milliseconds.
1 nanosecond, yeah, I know. So I thought, yes, this is a good job. So I spent half the day on the roof and half the day in Studio 2 at Abbey Road. So, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Does the roof live up to its hype? Or is it just a roof?
It's just a roof, basically. But it's nice.
Not like Billy Preston is still up there.
No. But one place where, and I've actually been to on quite a few occasions, is Studio 2. And that, God, I think Chris Rea said, and he's a devout Catholic, he said, going into Abbey Road is like a Catholic going to the Sistine Chapel in Rome. You just feel its presence. It's just like has amazing. It's got its own sort of smell to it as well. It's got a real atmosphere, and it's just like
smell.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's got this kind of musty smell. It's got this kind of just it's really, it's just there. And it can just almost feel just the atmosphere, like the music that's been made there.
Start selling candles.
Yeah, I've got one thing I went to not long ago. They had a special listening party for the Mono Masters.
Oh.
And they were playing, they played A Day in a Life in Studio 2. Where they had this amazing sound equipment that cost them hundreds of thousands of pounds. It's like the most incredible record player ever. And of course the acoustics in Studio 2. And A Day in a Life, like John Lennon was singing into my ear. It was just so immediate. It's absolute shivers down my spine. It was just like unbelievable. When they got to the orchestral build up. Yeah, at the end bit, it's just like, whoa! And the piano chord just going around the studio was just like unbelievable. Oh, there's another thing. Last year, they had these special lectures in the studio, and I went along with my daughter Lilia, and I met the guys, because the guys that do it are Canadian.
Really?
Yeah, and they'd been doing it for a while, and they had these pianos on display in the studio. I knew they were going to do this. They'd done it before, and they asked if there's any piano players in the studio, and my daughter's a very talented piano player, and she volunteered, and they were asked to go to these 3 pianos and play one chord on those pianos. It was the final chord of A Day in a Life, using the same pianos the Beatles used on the record in 1967.
Really?
And there's my daughter playing that piano in Studio 2 at Abbey Road. The same piano used on A Day in a Life. I thought, that was a proud dad moment. That was, that's one of those.
I think I saw a video on YouTube of some kid in Studio 2 playing on the Mrs. Mills piano.
Yes.
Doing Lady Madonna.
That was the piano she played on. That's the one they used on that as well.
Oh, wow.
That was the piano.
I can't even imagine being inside Studio 2. I feel like you would just be staring into the sun.
Yes, it is. And I've been in a few times. Every time I've been in, it's just like, wow. It's just like, this is the place where all this music was made. And that's the thing on my tours, that people just concentrate on the crossing, and they're wowed by the crossing, and it's like the studio just down the road. It's where they've recorded all their stuff. It's like, it's a cathedral of music. That's all I can put it. It has the same sort of atmosphere, and every time I go in, it's just like, it's the place. Yeah.
How many times do you think you've actually been to Studio 2?
I don't know, really. 15 or 20 or something. I don't know. Over the years,
fucker.
Don't know. I am very lucky. I am absolutely blessed in what I do, and I've been invited to lots of nice stuff there, and it's always a pleasure. And I met lots of people. I met George Martin in the studio.
Really?
They did a book about the official history of Abbey Road Studios, and I was interviewed for it. And because of that, I was invited along to the launch of the book in Studio 2. And I had a bit of a chat with George Martin inside Studio 2, which is quite a thrill.
Oh, God.
Yeah, got the book signed by him and stuff.
Have you ever met Giles?
Yes, Giles is very nice. Yeah, he is very modest, and he's done an awful lot. I mean, he's been. Of course, it's closed at the moment, but I still saw him a lot when he's got an office in the studio. So he was doing all the reissues there. Mm-hmm. So I used to see him all the time. At least probably saw him once a week, going in and out the studio.
Chip off the old block.
Yes, he is very much so. I think he's been working on the new Let It Be film as well.
Yeah, the Peter Jackson one.
Yes, yeah. That's something. Hopefully, that's still coming out, and it's not that. It's supposed to be September, October, isn't it?
Yeah, I heard
so
that.
That's So
Disney got their hands on the distribution, so I'm imagining that it'll end up on the Disney streaming service.
Yeah. Oh, one thing is I'm also going to be working on, but I don't know if I should say this publicly. Well, I'm going to say it. I mean, it's going to be announced quite soon. There's going to be a new film coming out about Brian Epstein.
Really?
And that's going to be filmed hopefully this year, coming out next year.
Is that a documentary or
no? It's just kind of a biopic.
Really?
And I met went to the they did a launch for sort of investors in it, and I went to that, and I met the scriptwriter, and I've been helping a bit. I got them in touch with Frida Kelly.
Really?
Of course, worked for Brian.
Good old Frida.
She's been involved with helping with the script. So that's going to be officially announced next month, I believe.
Are you able to tell us who's playing Brian Epstein?
They haven't announced it. That's going to be announced next month. I don't know myself at the moment.
I've heard
I've heard a few
about
names.
Tom Hanks.
No. That's one I haven't heard, actually. There's a few other. I mean, there's another project that's going to be on American TV. Another Epstein project. The film's going to be called Midas Man.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, we're going to call it Epstein the movie, but of course, after another Epstein's got rather famous recently, decided to change the name for good reason, I think. So it's going to be called It's going to be called Midas Man. Everything that Brian touched turned to gold, and sometimes not for the best.
Oh yeah.
It's really going to contrast how he managed the best group in the world, best entertainment group in the world, couldn't manage his own life, basically, and all the sort of contradictions in his life and stuff.
Kind of a Greek tragedy.
Yeah. But I met the scriptwriter, and I think she's doing a good job. I mean, it's going to be truthful as you can. It's not going to be. They're going to keep to the truth as much as possible, so it's going to be very good.
Good. So it won't be too sugar coated.
No.
No,
definitely not.
I'm very excited to see that.
Yeah.
So, you are the Beatle brain of Britain.
Yes.
What is your favorite weird pieces of Beatles trivia that you could tell someone and they would look at you like you just grew a third arm? It's like, how the hell do you know that? Why the hell do you know that?
Gosh, I don't know. There's so much I've learnt over the years. And sometimes I think, you sure? I don't know. I mean, there's just things that I know. Sometimes things the Beatles say, which I know, that's not true. And I know that some things are said for PR reasons and whatever. But it's hard to pick one, really. But I'm always learning. I'm always meeting people who have some sort of like I said, meeting Kevin Harrington recently, who was. People forget how involved he was. That he was around. Really, he was first as an office boy for NEMS, and running, doing jobs for Brian, going around to all the Beatles' houses, delivering stuff, and for that he learnt a lot. And then really from '68 being the Beatles roadie, set up all the equipment in Abbey Road Studios on the rooftop of 3 Savile Row, and getting to know all the stuff there. And he lived at Friar Park for a while.
Really?
Yeah, and he said the first night it's like they were pretending it was haunted, and they were freaking him out with these ghost noises. There's George and Olivia and everyone else freaking out with doing these ghost noises and stuff. It's the first night in Friar Park, so I just thought there's lovely sort of personal stories you hear.
Have you ever been to Friar Park?
Not inside, no. I wish I had. But I've been around the outside and stuff, but not inside. I'd love to go inside. I'd love to see it. Yeah, so, I know a few people that have, and yeah.
It's a beautiful house. Oh. Of course, I'm just saying that from pictures. I've never.
Yeah, I had this amazing story told to me by someone on. Get these stories from people on tours. That this lady she's Native American from the same tribe that Olivia's family had connections with, or something, and there was some sort of family connection. And she was visiting England, and this sounds a bit far-fetched, but apparently it's true. She was told to go to Friar Park, and then was told there was a relation of theirs living there. And then no one told her who it was or the connection, and she was invited in. And so all these pictures of the Beatles, and they asked, I didn't recognise George. So, do you have some connection with the Beatles? And he's asking George Harrison. It's like, you could say that, yes. Oh, you hear these lovely stories, and there's the other story. This guy who was this guy from Sweden who was in England in 1968 and was outside 3 Savile Row, and someone came out with a letter. It was an invite to be outside a certain hotel at a certain time, and everyone who was there was bussed down to Twickenham Studios and sang on Hey Jude. Was in the audience on Hey Jude. You can see him in the video.
Oh, is that the one that was the video?
Yeah, with all the fans around the piano, crowding around for the na 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 bits.
Yeah,
he's one of them. Yeah,
right place at the right time.
Talk about it. Yeah, I know. So I love all his personal stories and stuff. That's the when I've done doing these tours for say 30 years. And I could probably do them in my sleep and probably do, but what I get the kick out of is hearing all these personal stories and telling the stories and then getting all the feedback from people. That's what I enjoy is the love for the Beatles and telling the stories and getting all the reactions from people.
Okay, so now I'm gonna ask you some kind of quick fire questions.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Beatles song?
Gosh, let's say who's your favorite child?
Top 5. You can pick top 5.
Okay, In My Life, definitely up there for many reasons. It's one of the first. That's the first song I heard after hearing about John Lennon's murder. That's always been up there, and there's a lot of personal reasons as well. That's very high there. Something is very high up there, so I absolutely love. There's a few kind of more obscure ones. I always loved Hey Bulldog for some reason. It's a brilliant sort of dance record. But it changes with mood and stuff. A Day in a Life is always up there, and hearing it in the studio that time, and just like I've always loved the original acoustic version on "My Guitar Gently Weeps." I heard that for the first time in Abbey Road in '83 when I had that was the first time I'd been in Abbey Road when they had the Beatles Abbey Road show.
Oh, that's right.
They played all these rare songs, and hearing the original acoustic version of "When My Guitar Gently Weeps" was just like, what's that? Just like so amazingly moving.
I've heard about that tour. In fact, I've actually seen bootlegs.
Yes.
From like someone smuggled in a tape recorder and
there's a bootleg video you can get of it, which I've got, which is quite amazing. Yeah.
I haven't heard about the video. Now I want to see the video.
There's a video. I don't know if it's on YouTube. I don't think it's on YouTube, but there is a video. It's got Roger Scott, who's actually got Canada because he was in the hotel and we're doing Give Peace a Chance.
In Montreal.
He was in Canada in Montreal. Yeah. He was the one that narrated the show. Really? Yeah.
Okay, do you have a least favorite Beatles song?
I suppose Revolution Number 9 is, even though it's got its quirks.
Yeah.
Maxwell's Silver Hammer, I must admit, I've just never warmed to. This happy sing-along about a mass murderer. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know, I never will. That's probably my least favourite. And also, I suppose, just coming after Something, which is just this incredible, sensual, amazing love song. And then you got Maxwell Silverhammer coming right afterwards. Talk about a change of mood. It's like, what a contrast. So that point doesn't help its merits for me. I mean, that's...
kind of looking at that song, and it's like, this Maxwell guy, balls of steel. Yeah. Because he's on trial for killing people with a hammer. And
I know.
he has the fucking audacity to kill the judge.
Yeah, and I know John Lennon absolutely hated it as well.
They did
And
100 something takes.
They were even going back to the Get Back sessions. They just went for it God knows how many times, and ad nauseum. And John absolutely hated it. And I can see why, to be honest.
Oh.
So yeah, I suppose if I had to pick one, it's going to be Maxwell's Silver Hammer.
Again, I'm glad it's a different answer than Mr. Moonlight. I've had too many people say Mr. Moonlight.
Yeah, it's not even a Beatle. It's a cover version, but it's quite a good song, really. I don't know why people dislike that so much.
I think it's the organ solo.
Yeah, maybe, but
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not brilliant. I mean, they did better cover versions than that. I mean, some of their cover versions were. You think it's a cover version? It's like one of my favourites is "Soldiers of Love."
Oh, that's a great one.
Which is just like, and the other one is "Don't Ever Change," which is just the blueprint of the Beatles in 1963. The whole way they did it, even though it's one of the few times they didn't change it for their. It sounds like the original version by the Cricket sounds like the Beatles 1963. It's just so like a blueprint of the Beatles in '63 with the harmonies, the melody. It's just the Beatles. It's just like.
And this was on one of the BBC.
BBC, yeah, that's always been. But Soldiers of Love is just like.
Oh, I love that.
Oh. And that really could have been the first single, really. Soldiers of Love and some other guy. I mean, that would have been what a B-side, double A side that could have been. I mean, wow.
That would have kicked ass.
I know it wasn't their own song, but wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have. Yeah.
I also love off the BBC Shot of Rhythm and Blues.
Yeah.
That's one of my favourites.
Yeah. There was a brilliant band called Mojo Filter that used to play at the Beatle convention in Liverpool. They used to do all the BBC stuff and the Hamburg stuff long before most people had heard it.
Oh,
and
do you know what I wish they had
brilliant.
done a proper studio version of?
Yeah.
Talking About You.
Yeah.
It's a shame that the Star
Yeah,
Club tapes are so
Yeah.
bad, because I would love a high quality version.
It isn't a shame that the only Hamburg tape out there is from their last ever gig there.
Yeah.
Because they were kind of getting, they knew kind of the last one. They weren't really quite. It was brilliant. It's still brilliant having it, but it's a pity it's not a kind of a slightly earlier one. In a way, but I
have a bootleg of that show under the name The Beatles versus the Third Reich.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Oh, there's so many of these bootlegs. Of course, the Beatles have tried to stop the Hamburg stuff coming out ever since. We're saying it's not up to scratch, which is true in a way, but they finally let the Hollywood Bowl out after saying no for so long.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Speaking of stuff not coming out, have you ever heard Carnival of Light?
No one has heard it apart from, I think, Martin Lewison when he was doing the recording sessions book.
At the Beatle Fest, I was bothering him about that song, just asking him questions.
Because it's just not worth it. It's doodles on a tape recorder. It makes Revolution Number 9 seem coherent.
It's even longer.
Yeah, and it's like, I was going to call it electronic farts by the sound. I don't know whether it is on that sort of basis, basically, by the sound of it, and it's just not worth it. I mean, it's just become this great mystery, and it should have been on. It's never meant to be on Sgt. Pepper. It's meant to be heard once at this event at the Roundhouse, and that was it. It wasn't supposed to be heard
electronic light
again.
And sound rave, or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
It's called.
Yeah, exactly. That's any time it's supposed to be heard, and that, But the tapes still exist, and unfortunately, when they, it's one of these things. People want to hear that, and it's also, there's others as well. But
like the 26-minute version of Helter Skelter.
That's the one I was about to say. Yeah, it's just like these. these things everyone wants to hear, and you think when they hear it, think, why did we bother? But
all this hype for like the last 30 years to hear Carnival of Light, and then inevitably when it does come out, we'll be like, what the hell was that?
Why
were we excited to hear that?
I know. But it's just this mythical thing. So, yeah.
Anyways, do you have a favorite Beatles album? Oh, well, you already said that earlier.
Yeah, it varies, but basically anything from Rubber Soul onwards, really, I suppose, depending on moods and whatever else. But, yeah.
Do you have
not Let It Be. I mean, Let It Be is a bit of a mishmash.
I'm not a fan of that album.
Yeah, there's some brilliant songs on it, but it was such a mishmash, really.
Yeah.
Overproduced by Phil Spector.
Yeah.
Say the least. But
not the last thing he shot in the head.
No. I love Phil Spector and his early stuff. I mean, I love all the Wall of Sound stuff.
It's a shame that he ended up the way he did, because now I feel guilty when I'm listening to like the Crystals and the Ronettes.
Oh, tell me about it. I mean, that's some of the best pop music ever made.
One of the best Christmas albums is
the
Christmas Gift for You.
Exactly.
From Phillies.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Be My Baby is still one of my all-time favourite records. That just oh god. Yeah.
I could listen to like Do Run Run for like every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And it's funny that Ronnie wasn't allowed to go on that tour in '66 with the Beatles because her sort of fling with John Lennon. There was all that going on, and of course there was George and Estelle for a while. Was it Estelle? I can't remember her name here.
Yeah.
They were quite close for a while as well. All those connections.
Didn't one of them date Paul for like, or at least sleep with Paul?
It was quite possible name, Paul.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I heard an anecdote that I know it's probably not true, but I like to believe it is, that Can't Buy Me Love was written after a 9-day bender of all the best prostitutes that Miami offered, and he wrote Can't Buy Me Love after that.
Really? Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. It's probably not true, but
I'd like to
stories. Believe it's true.
Yeah.
Like the one of John Lennon calling an emergency band meeting in '68, proclaiming that he is in fact the reincarnation of Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's true. That happened. That's true.
Oh, thank God. I was so worried that it wasn't true.
No, that's absolutely true. That's after a LSD trip or something. I don't know what it was.
And the meeting was shortly thereafter adjourned.
Yeah. Oh, it's another story again on the same line. So this guy turned up at Cavendish Avenue.
Oh, wasn't that in the Imagine movie?
Yeah. No, that was on something else. This is Paul told us on another thing that this guy turned up in beard and caftan, and Paul opened the door, and this guy said, "Hey, I'm Jesus Christ."
Oh.
And Paul said, "Well, you never know," so he invited him in, and Paul was about to go around to Abbey, I think it was Abbey Road, or maybe no, it was something they were recording Fixing a Hole at Chapel, I think it's at Chapel Studios, one of those. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Paul was about to go to the studio and said, "Why don't you come along to the studio?" And this guy sat in on the Beatles, maybe Jesus Christ sat in on a Beatles recording session.
I mean,
he was in the studio with them. You never know. But of course it can't be, because the Beatles are bigger than Jesus Christ anyway, so of course.
Yeah.
But,
well, Jesus was only
bigger?
Like...
They're bigger than God, it's bigger than Rod. Sorry,
yeah.
It's a deaf journalist, sorry. Yeah.
Rod will not be big for another 6 years.
6 years, exactly.
There's
always lovely stories in the 60s. I mean, they were so trusting of people. And then this guy who sat in the Beatles recording, he said he was Jesus Christ. I mean...
I think Paul said something about that. It was the anthology, I think.
Yeah. There's something he said that in there.
What if he is Jesus?
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Well, those are the days, as someone once said.
Those were the days, my friend. Thought they'd never end.
Oh. Do you remember that Cynthia Lennon did a version of that?
I've heard about that, but I don't think I've heard it.
Oh, of course, in that she sings "Once upon a time there was a cavern," not "Once upon a time there was a tavern." How many members of the Lennon family have made records over the years? God, they all have. Even Uncle Charlie made a record. His Uncle Charlie, yeah.
There was that awful
and of course,
record
Freddie
that...
did that awful chut that Freddie made, yeah. Oh, and of course there was Julian and Sean and everyone else, and
but Julian and Sean's music is decent.
yeah, they're good. I mean, but like Charlie and Freddie. Oh dear.
What's that? What's the name of that song that Freddie did? Where it's wasn't it called like "That's My Life"?
That's My Life or something like that. Yeah.
I heard that John had pulled some strings to have it pulled off the charts.
Yeah. I think they did kind of reconcile a bit later on. But there was a long time they didn't. I think in the 70s or something they had a bit of a, not that don't think they saw each other again. I think they were corresponding at least, but yeah.
There was a book, I think, from Freddie's, last wife.
Yeah.
Some stories
Pauline.
about John and Yoko.
Yeah. Yeah, Pauline is actually a Beatles fan and married Freddie. So yeah, I got that book. So I don't think I even read it. I got it somewhere.
Yeah.
God, I got so many Beatles books. I got a library full. I haven't read some of them.
I'm going to be honest. Same here.
I got hundreds, and some I probably never will read. But when I was doing the coffee shop and doing the fan club, and we used to get get sent books to review. So for a long time, I had to buy one because I always got sent them to books that samples of books we could have sold in the shop or books to review for the fan club. So that was quite handy.
Out of your library, are there any books that are like fairly popular that you don't really like for their like authenticity or their angle?
The Love You Make by Peter Brown. Oh, I did not like that book. I know Paul McCartney hated it as well, but
I heard he and Linda organised a book burning in their backyard.
I heard that. Yeah, I think Peter Brown was kind of waylaid by Stephen Gaines, the guy he wrote it with. I wanted to get all the juicy bits and ignored all the good stuff basically, and trying to get all these revelations and saying his revelation never said before. The Beatles took drugs. No shit, Sherlock. I mean, really? Okay, right, next.
Oh, God. Well, nowadays,
it's that sort of line. I mean, he didn't say that as such, but it's on that sort of line. It's like, okay, next.
I've had friends that are like getting into the Beatles nowadays, and of course the go-to book, unfortunately, is that Bob Spitz one.
Oh God, don't! I mean, even the captions. You've got the date wrong with John meeting Paul. It's right to finish for Bride Queen the Beatles. Couldn't even get the date right when John met Paul. It's like
There was this great Conan O'Brien bit.
Yeah.
Poking fun at these captions.
Like,
the famous Beatles rooftop concert at Taco Bell. John's bed in with the grimace.
I know. And he was really snarky about, he said it wasn't his fault, the cat they'd done as an afterthought and all that. It's just like, oh, come on. There's just so much stuff in the book. I mean, about Paul dreaming yesterday, the tune, looking at in a hotel room looking over Central Park. I thought, what? Where did he get that from? Well, actually, he's mixing up a story that Paul told about, which I was at a thing he was at when he was talking about the song. Actually, he did write over looking over Central Park, which was quite a recent one. And he also told the story about dreaming yesterday. And he got both stories mixed up. Yeah. And he's got Paul dreaming yesterday in a hotel room overlooking Central Park. And I thought, oh, no, help! This definitive biography on the Beatles. It's like, uh-oh.
I asked Mark Lewison and Bruce Spicer about this at the last fest. They had this panel, and Bruce Spicer brought up that he had completely butchered, or he had said that Paperback Writer was on Revolver or something.
Yeah. I know. It's just so much rubbish in that book.
Wait, no, he said Paperback Writer was on Yesterday and Today, and Bruce Spicer was like, well, maybe he meant the British version.
Right. Oh dear.
Anyways, this has been very, very fun.
Good. Yeah, it has.
Thank you so much for coming on, Richard.
That's all right. And come on a tour if you come to London. Hopefully we'll get started again soon.
Next time I'm in London, I am definitely taking one of those tours.
And hopefully I've got my book coming out with Susan Ryan. It's the Beatles Fab Four Cities, Liverpool, Hamburg, London and New York, about all the cities and how they're interconnected in some way. And there's so much weird stuff. Which I didn't realise, which I just found out, that weird stuff like Liverpool and Hamburg being on the same line of latitudes, and you can draw a line through it on the globe. There's just weird connections and things like that, which we've and there's always different places and stuff, and that the book's hopefully coming out later this year. But anyway,
it's kind of,
so that's a big project I've got at the moment.
I've heard from Susan and you that like the release date's kind of up in the air because of the notorious Rona.
Yes, but a certain virus that's going around you might have heard about. I don't know if it's just this thing.
As John said, stay in bed.
Yes, exactly. Good idea. Yes, give peace a chance.
All that stuff.
Yeah. Stay in bed, grow your hair for peace.
Yeah. I think
no one can get their hair cut at the moment, so we are growing our hair for peace.
Yeah.
I'll have that sort of haircut soon. The hair soon. I don't get my hair cut.
I mean, I like having my hair relatively long, but this is kind of fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. Stay in bed and grow your hair for peace in the world.
Yeah. Anyways, whenever your book comes out, everyone else out there listening, go buy it.
Good, thank you.
Except for Susan Ryan, she will probably be given a copy.
Well, hopefully, yes. Yeah. Hopefully I will as well. Yeah. That'd be nice. Yes.
Yeah. Nice if the publisher told you when it's coming out.
Yes.
Even better if they'd give you a copy.
It would. But we're hoping, hopefully sometime this year. But I'll keep you posted on that.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Richard, thanks for coming on.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Everyone out there,
do this.
Goodbye for now.
Fans on the Run is produced by Ethan Alexanian. Additional voiceovers by Richard Phillip. This has been a Showtown production.